Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars, welcome to another PlayStation 5 review. Today's review is for Last Stop. Now this was released last week on the PlayStation and it is also available to play on PlayStation 4. And it's also available on Game Pass on Xbox Series S or X if you do have Game Pass. Now I didn't realise this and I ended up getting this for the PlayStation console. So this review is essentially for the PlayStation 5, which is the console I have played it on. Now fans of you out there that like narrative driven games, very much in the style of the Telltale games in times gone by, Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, we're probably quite interested in this game, and it comes from Annapurna Interactive. Now, that name might not sound familiar, but they have brought us familiar games in the past, such as Outer Wilds, Ashen, and What Remains of Eden Finch, excuse me. So they're quite a renowned games developer, and they have brought us some fairly interesting and diverse games in the past. And what do we get with Last Stop? Well, as I've mentioned, it is a very, very strong narrative-based driven game. Heavy with choices, heavy with quick time events, and it focuses on three stories, essentially. And these stories are three separate characters, or three separate stories, should I say, but they all have like an intertwining storyline that kind of blend in with each other as the chapters go on. And they all have a little bit of like a science fiction twist to them as well. It makes it a little bit more interesting. Now the first story focuses on two neighbours. There's one guy and he's got a young daughter trying to get by in life. He's got a neighbour, they keep getting their mail mixed up. They catch the tube together to work. They don't really know each other, and they have like they bump into some guy at the tube station. He does something to them, and they basically wake up, and they've swapped bodies basically. So the first story, Paper Dolls, I think it's called, is like a body swap story, the kind of story that you've seen many times before in Hollywood and things like that, you know. And it is up to these two characters to A, come to terms with what's gone on, and B, try and figure out how to get their body swapped back. Now the second story, I think, is it called Domestic Disturbance or something like that, and it focuses on a woman who kind of works for like this secret military, like privatized company. She's a go-getter, she's ruthless with her workmates, and she has a young family at home, a husband and a son. However, she's been cheating on her husband with somebody else, and she gets embroiled in a story where basically somebody knows what she's doing. They're trying to blackmail her, and she also has to figure out who it is who's doing this to her. And so you follow her story through a number of chapters. And the third story focuses on like a teenager who, her and her friends follow this strange man to this abandoned pool. He has got these eyes that light up green. Something's very, very clearly not right. They end up basically kidnapping him, holding him kind of hostage in this place. All the while their events take some very, very strange turns, as he's clearly not an ordinary guy. Right, so you may well ask, how are these stories all intertwined? Well, that would be spoiling it if I told you any more than that, but the truth is they all are. They're all quite different in their approach to storytelling, but they all kind of end up at the same place in regards to the intertwining aspects of the story. The first story, like I say, the body swapping one, is at times the most light-hearted of the three, but there are also moments in it when it gets quite deep and dramatic, and they all do really. I mean, don't be fooled by its aesthetic, this game. It's got this quite lovely, actually, cartoonish approach to telling the story in regards to its graphics, but there's actually some quite adult things going on in these tales. Some of them wouldn't be amiss, really, from being like a BBC drama, or more accurately, probably like a Twilight Zone episode. Now, with any games like this, I mean, like I say, it's very, very strong in regards to its narrative. You will spend a lot of your time doing menial things like walking up and down paths, doing other things like eating, drinking, jogging, working photocopiers. I mean, it does kind of waste your time by doing a lot of menial tasks, opening wardrobes, choosing what clothes to wear, etc., etc. It's not going to keep you on the edge of your seat in regards to action. This game, that is not its primary focus. Its primary focus is telling a story, and I think it does it fairly effectively. Each of these stories has a number of chapters before they complete, and like I say, they all kind of intertwine with each other. As the chapters go on, they get more and more close together in regards to the story that they're telling. And like I say, along the way as well, you'll get some quick time events to deal with while you're playing the game. And if you're used to like these Telltale games or the Detroit Become Human games and Heavy Rain and all that kind of stuff, then you'll be perfectly used to that sort of thing. If that is not your type of game, these narrative heavy games that focus mainly just on the story, it's like, to be fair, it's like watching a TV show really, with a lot of this, with your involvement occasionally with the odd button press and choice of dialogue here and there. It doesn't feel overly affecting of the story depending on what option you will choose. Occasionally it does. It will give you like an option that you choose that will it feels like it has affected the story in some way or affected the character in the story. I haven't replayed it yet and tried different options to see really what the options are in regards to that. But it doesn't feel as affecting to me as maybe some things like Detroit Become Human, for example, in regards to some of the heavy choices that you get to make in a game like that. It doesn't feel as arching. The branching story arches don't feel as involved as in a game like that. So essentially, your enjoyment of this game will really depend on if you like these sort of things. I think it's quite an effective game. I like all aspects of it. It's a little bit slow. Some may find it a little bit dull, but I quite like the storytelling. The voice acting is excellent by everybody here on display, and the stories do keep you interested because of the way they tell the stories. You are intrigued to find out what goes on. So from my perspective, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's not for everybody. If you don't like story-driven games, then it won't be for you. I do. I quite like them. I find them quite relaxing. So yeah, it's a 7 out of 10 from me. So I hope you found this review useful. Thank you very much for watching, everybody.